Good afternoon. My name is Mark Krikorion. I'm Executive Director of the Center for Immigration Studies. The immigration debate, as it's going on now, is politically faces I think the biggest obstacle that it faces is that no one trusts the promises that the supporters of comprehensive reform, so-called, are making. In other words, the whole concept of comprehensive reform, so-called, is that illegal immigrants get legalized and then enforcement will be promised for the future so we don't end up in this situation again. That already happened once in 1986, and there's a lot of legitimate skepticism. It's kind of like the old Popeye cartoon. Remember the wimpy character would go around saying, "I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today." Well, the hamburger of amnesty was offered in 1986, and Wimpy never got paid. And so that's really the politically speaking, not in a policy sense necessarily, but the key stumbling block. And so to address that, this administration has been making these claims about how it's really super tough on enforcement, and its Exhibit A in that regard is supposedly record deportations. And so the point of the report that we're going to be talking about today is actually looking at what the data show as opposed to what the press packets say about these claims of record deportations. And I won't, not to give you a spoiler, but they're not true. So the author of the report, Jessica Vaughn, the Director of Policy Studies here at the Center, will be giving a presentation on it. Dan Cadman, retired high official in ICE and INS, will be talking about it from his perspective as actually having experience with regard to the enforcement side of immigration. But our first commenter is going to be Congressman Lou Barletta, because he's got to head back to the Hill for votes. Congressman Barletta has been very active in the immigration issue. He's a former mayor of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, which had, like many towns around the country, dealt with immigration problems, but unlike a lot of towns, he dealt with it, or tried to deal with it, kind of head on, and got some real national notoriety for that, and significant real popularity. He could correct me if I get the story right, but one of the times he ran, he was so popular that the Democrats wrote him in the primary as their candidate as well as the Republican candidate. So he's got a lot of experience, both political and now policy, with this issue. And so I wanted to let Congressman Barletta give us some thoughts on these claims about enforcement, and then we'll let him tend to the nation's business, and Jessica will talk about the report in more detail.